Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of the Signal SPORTSCAST. I am the host, Marco Alvarado, and today we're going to be covering some Houston Rockets action and analysis over some recent play. Same thing for the Houston Texans, and also some breaking Houston Astros news that have been circulating since free agency started. So sit back, relax, and let's dive right into all the action, starting off with the beloved Houston Rockets. Just to go over a few games that the Rockets have been doing, we're going to start off with the November 28th matchup against the Denver Nuggets. They took a loss in that game, 129-113 in Denver. Then they had a back-to-back against the same team with a day rest in between. So we're talking November 30th, another loss to Denver, 120-100. 20-point blowout. It is what it is. Cool. Then we go over to Phoenix. They faced the Suns in Phoenix and won by a total of 122-121. 1-point win over the Phoenix Suns. Big upset in the eyes of the NBA against a really good competitive Phoenix Suns team, and the Rockets overcame them in Phoenix. Then we go to Golden State, where the Rockets then took another loss, 120-101. Then we head back to here in Houston, where the 76ers played the Houston Rockets, also known as the 76ers, are known as the Rockets 2.0, as they have a lot of former players, and also the former general manager of the team, Daryl Morey, is now the vice president or one of the presidents of the team. So the Rockets 2.0 versus the Houston Rockets. Rockets won in double overtime, 132-123. Very impressive win over a Eastern Conference playoff contender. Then they were back on the road for San Antonio, and they lost 118-109, a game that was very winnable, but the wheels fell off. It is what it is. Then they came back home on December 11th to face the Milwaukee Bucks, and they won 97-92. Rockets overcame Milwaukee in Houston. Then the Phoenix Suns came to town a couple days later on the 13th, and the Rockets beat the Suns recently 111-97. Now, before we jump into all this analysis after this recap, we want to give our condolences to Stephen Silas, who lost his father, Paul Silas. Paul Silas was known in the NBA for being one of the greatest coaches in the league, has very tremendous amount of success within the league. So our condolences to Stephen Silas and the Silas family. John Lucas was the interim head coach, and John Lucas is an assistant. Now, John Lucas is established in the NBA. He is a legend, so to speak. Coach Silas wasn't present for the Milwaukee game. Silas's first game was against the Phoenix Suns, and the Rockets won that for Coach Silas, 111-97. And the game he is back with. So the next couple of games the Rockets do have will be against the Miami Heat, Portland Trailblazers, San Antonio Spurs, Orlando Magic, and Dallas Mavericks. And all those games are going to be here at Toyota Center. Then they go on the road to the East Coast. They go against Chicago, Boston, and then they come back here to Texas to face the Dallas Mavericks on December 29th. And then they have the typical New Year's Eve game, and that's going to be against the New York Knicks on New Year's Eve. So, light play. Rockets are playing good basketball. They are. Very winnable games in a lot of these situations, but at the end of the day, the Rockets are not being a contender. And the young team, a lot of people categorize them as a college team, so to speak, which is fine because of the youth and experience, the inexperience the Rockets have. The only vet that they have is Eric Gordon. That's really a true vet, but even then, he really can't do much. They relies on the young guns, as in Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., Jabari Smith Jr., Alfred Sengun, so to speak. Jayshawn Tate could be in that mix, but he's working back from an injury, so hopefully everything will come to play for him whenever he's inserted, and everything will be easier in the lineup. Rotations will be definitely different, as he's, a competing spot for that starting number 4 spot on the court for the Rockets. The Rockets play good basketball, but it's not great basketball. That's just how it is. That's because of that inexperience. So I wouldn't expect too much out of the Rockets this next couple games, or probably after the season, as they try to aim for that number 1 spot. Tanking season is upon us, ladies and gentlemen, and that's for the city of Houston, for 2 teams that are here in the city, and the Rockets are one of them. So again, Miami, I see the Rockets losing. I see us losing to Portland. I see them losing. Well, San Antonio's a wild card. Really, it could go either way. Orlando, same deal. They're in the same boat as the Rockets, honestly. Dallas, that's a contender in my eyes. That's probably going to be an L. Chicago, Boston, and New York, probably losses. So if you want to keep looking at great developmental basketball, the Rockets are the team to watch. If you're looking for the fan experience, for the win and everything, yeah, you're better off watching the national televised game that the NBA has to offer. So moving on to the Texans. The Texans, what can we say about it? They aren't a good football team. Probably the same boat, and they're in the same boat as the Rockets, for being honest here. The past couple games have looked like this for your beloved Houston Texans. A win against the Jacksonville Jaguars back on October 9th, and we had the bye week. Took a loss against the Las Vegas Raiders. Took a loss against the Tennessee Titans. A loss against Philadelphia. A loss against the Giants. A loss against the Commanders. A loss against the Miami Dolphins. The Deshaun Watson comeback game resulted in a loss for the Texans as well. And our most recent loss against America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. The remaining schedule for your beloved Houston Texans is against the Kansas City Chiefs, Tennessee Titans, Jacksonville Jaguars, and Indianapolis Colts. So 2 at home, which is going to be the Kansas City game and the Jacksonville game, and then the 2 away teams that they play on the road is going to be the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. What is there to say about the Houston Texans? They're a dumpster fire. Offensively, there's nobody on the team that can be held liable for the mistakes there is. Everybody wants to point at the quarterback, but I think it's more beyond the quarterback. I believe it's also the O-line. I believe it's also with the tight ends. I believe it's also with the wide receivers. Yes, you could tie the quarterback in at times. Davis Mills, I already said, he's not the guy. Plain and simple. He was benched. Kyle Allen started against the Dolphins, and it still resulted in a loss. And then in the Dallas game, they interchanged quarterbacks on certain possessions and drives. At this point, tank, just like what the Rockets are doing. Get that number 1 pick, get your draft stock up so you can get the best pick possible. Of course you want number 1, but what are the odds of the Texans getting the number 1 draft pick? Good thing about the Texans is that they have draft picks now. They have a lot of first-round picks for the future drafts and also a lot of second-round draft picks as well. Hopefully the Texans can do something with those picks, either make a trade to somebody that actually wants to be committed to the Texans and use those draft picks as trade bait alongside with other players, or draft the right pieces. Who knows what Nick Caserio has up his sleeve. I believe he's going to have a strong offseason with the picks because the Texans have so many, so he can literally do whatever he wants with them, and I believe he's going to use them in the right way. So at this point, right out the end of the season, and let's look into the offseason. Now on to our World Series champions. I say 2022 World Series champion Houston Astros. The Houston Astros acquired Jose Abreu in free agency. Big bat. He spent his last couple seasons in Chicago with the White Sox. He's known for being a power hitter, and as a lot of fans would say, the rich just got richer. Now, you may think to yourself, what about Yuli Gurriel? What about Jordan? What about Michael Brantley? Here's how I see it. You can still sign Yuli and still have him at first base. You can have Jordan still be at DH and at left field. The only person that will be out of this mix is Michael Brantley. Now, Michael Brantley can still resign with the Astros. He could be in left field, or he could serve as that DH spot as he did this past season. But at the same time, you still have Jose Abreu and Yuli Gurriel and Jordan. So you can intertwine with them, kind of like how Trey Mancini was whenever he was here with the Astros. But who knows? Yuli Gurriel is still a free agent. Michael Brantley is still a free agent. And they're both tied with the Astros. Both parties, from their agent to the actual team, they're still very interested with a reunion. So hopefully they come back. A lot of fans want them back. And like I said, the rich just get richer. But there's also been a few other departures as well. Aledmus Diaz signed with the Oakland Athletics, and Justin Verlander signed with the New York Mets. A lot of people are worried about the pitching. To be honest, I'm not one of those people. You got Luis Garcia, Christian Javier, Lance McCullers Jr., Framber Valdez, Jose Urquidy. A lot of good pieces are still with this Astros team, not to mention the bullpen. The bullpen's still intact, ladies and gentlemen. To be honest, a wise man once told me, don't worry about it. And I'm not worried about it. And I advise that to everybody that is worrying about the pitching situation or just with the Astros in general, because the core lineup for the Astros is still there. Add Jose Abreu to the mix. Man, what can you say at that point? Very, very big positive signing by Jim Crane, in my opinion. Let's just hope the Astros are on the path to a back-to-back World Series championship title. This has been the Signal Sportscast. You can follow us on social media at USO The Signal. We like to hear your feedback on everything, and we like to get active with y'all, so y'all make sure to tap in with us. I'm Marco Alvarado, and